Welcome to the Warning Track Power Hour. I am Dr. Andrew Scaife. He is Dr. Michael Warman, Esquire. On today's show, we'll eventually get to talk about the NHL and NBA playoffs. We'll also review the 2026 NFL Draft. With our Chiefs making multiple picks in the first round. But we'll begin today's show talking about our now disastrous turn for the Kansas City Royals. They're now stuck in an 8-game losing streak. Not being able to hit very well with anybody on base, especially on offense. Their defense has looked pretty bad. They've had players colliding with each other recently in the field, running into bases, running into outs on the base paths. Even Mike, we know 2 weeks ago we said we weren't too worried about them. Last week we were maybe a little bit more concerned. Now with the current more uh, obvious public struggles, even with now manager and Sal having a little bit of dispute publicly, differing opinions. Uh, Now, are you worried, or are you still not concerned?
I'm concerned. I don't know how I it's you want there's still a lot of time left in the season, but you don't want to be the worst team in baseball at any point of the season. And right now
Yeah,
they have the worst record in the majors, not only the American League but also in the even the 11 game in a row losing Mets are a half game above the Royals at this point. Right now,
yeah.
maybe it'll switch today because the Royals are winning right now and the Mets are losing right now at the end, towards the end of their games. But
Well, it could
um,
flip.
the Royals are still the worst team in the American League,
Yeah,
and it's been they've lost eight in a row. A lot of those games haven't been particularly competitive, and the other ones, some of them have been given away. So it seems like they're either heartbreakers or just not even like against the Yankees. They I don't think any of those games were competitive. I watched
uh,
much of that series, and it was bad. Like you said,
they,
there were
they were close until maybe like the second or third inning.
yeah,
Then they
a
got a
couple.
little
Yeah,
bit out of hand.
well, they have to be start. They have to start out at 0-0. So um,
Very
to
few
get
brand new ball game scenarios of your favorite
yes,
phrase.
so when they tie the game up and you can say a brand new ball game.
Yes.
Um, but no, yeah,
I tend to text you that when that comes up, but we haven't had many of those recently.
no. Well, we could have
Yeah,
had one tonight when
could
the
have,
Royals
yeah.
they were down 3-1 and they tied it. Now they're up 4-3 in the bottom of the seventh inning against the Orioles. I always thought Royals and Orioles sound very similar. That
Yes, it's not a great matchup for tongue twisters.
yeah,
I'm trying to avoid that.
especially with if the O Royals were still existent rather than being the Golden State
Yes,
point, but the Omaha Royals, the O Royals sounds like the Orioles.
yes. Oh, Royals, yes. Yeah,
But yeah, so we'll see Baltimore. So a matchup of former Missouri teams, since Baltimore was once the St. Louis Browns up until the early to mid 50s when they moved to Baltimore. I think they moved to Baltimore in 1954, something like that. I think that was the same year the Dodgers and the Giants moved out to California.
yeah,
Uh, St. Louis lost its second baseball team. Would you?
yeah,
Well, that would be so weird if St. Louis still had two baseball teams, I think. Uh,
yeah. They'd be
Somehow.
by far the smallest market with two
Yeah,
teams. Yeah,
yeah. Um, well, New York, of course, had three at that point, with
right.
the Dodgers and the Giants, and then the Yankees. Yeah, Boston. So a lot of cities had two because Boston had two uh,
Hmm.
before they moved to Milwaukee. Chicago, of course. Philadelphia had two before the
Hmm.
A's moved to Kansas City.
Hmm.
Uh, what else? What else? Who else had two? I guess the Bay Area used to have two. Now it only has one with the Athletics moving, but Los Angeles still has two.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And those two parks were like really close together. I didn't realize like how close they were until actually going to a game in San Francisco. And then
oh,
Oakland.
Oakland
Oakland
Falls.
a couple days later. Yeah, because they're just like separated by the bay, but it's not an easy route to get to it. You can't just like
Uh-huh.
go across the bay. But yeah, they're only like a mile, I think, physically apart from each other, but it takes like an hour to get from one to the other.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, that was yeah. I liked. So do you think I think it's a little bit like European soccer where a lot of the the big cities have multiple uh,
Hmm.
teams, whereas they nowadays they don't. I guess in
Yeah,
football, it's football only. It's only Los Angeles and New York that have the double teams. So Chicago is a singles teamed city,
yeah,
and the Bay Area is no longer home of the uh, Raiders. So
yeah. And they
yeah,
tend to not have what even the baseball teams tend to not have home series at the same time. So there's usually only one of the city's teams playing at any
yeah.
given time.
I'm not sure how the Yankees and Mets do it. Whether they're both at home right now. Mets are at home, and the Yankees
I think
are.
they sometimes overlap, but generally it's not that they looks like the Yankees are they not playing today? Oh,
I
they're
don't,
on the road.
Yankees are on the road. Yeah, yeah. Well, we're at Boston today. Yeah.
They're at Boston, yeah. So both no, so yeah, so the Mets are at home, Yankees are on the road. Yeah. That's usually how it works. They tend to be not both at home at the same time. I mean, sometimes they like the schedules overlap by a day or something, but generally they don't. Like you're not forced to choose between going to one or the other if you were in New York City.
Or Chicago or someplace. They don't have the White
Right.
Sox in the they don't have a day game for the Cubs and a what night game for the Sox.
Yeah, even though there were different parts of town and the city would easily be able to support enough, stadium attendance
I
to
guess I
have
never
both at the
noticed.
same
I guess
time.
I never noticed that because they're right. Yeah, right now Chicago's on at home. The Cubs are at home and the White Sox are on the road.
Yeah,
Um,
it seems like they like it's purposeful. I think it's probably not for like local attendance, but it's probably more for like TV
and
viewing
the
because they could probably
Angels are
double up on
yeah
them.
Angels are at home. Dodgers are on the road.
Yeah.
Right. Um, I guess even Washington is on the road is at home, and the Orioles are on the road. If you count, I don't know if you want to count Baltimore. Washington is having
They have
one.
overlapping metro areas, right? They're connected by the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
public transit system.
Yeah. You can
Okay.
take at least the bus and Amtrak between the two, but
Well, I think even their local like subway system actually does go into Baltimore,
you
doesn't it?
not quite.
Or gets you almost there to where you can get another
Yeah.
public something transit to get to the rest of the way.
Yeah. You can take the bus. It'll be like a because you can take because Baltimore. They share the airport. BWI is kind of in between the two.
Yeah,
It's more of a Baltimore airport than it is a Washington airport, but you can take it from you can take the Washington Transit to get to the Baltimore airport BWI. There's a take the subway, then there's a bus
it
that
goes the
goes.
rest of the way.
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
I don't
I've
know.
been to DC a few times, but I've never gone into Baltimore from. Well, I've flown into Baltimore, but I've not
Hmm.
gone to Baltimore from DC.
Yeah, Baltimore's not the I don't know. There's some stuff there, but it's not the most happening town. I think it's a little
I just changed planes there. I wasn't even there to go to Baltimore.
Southwest. Yeah, uh, yeah, it's a little. I don't
The
know.
obvious route to get from I think Tampa to Kansas City is through Baltimore, right?
Oh,
That's
is
why.
that Southwest flight you took?
That's the most efficient way to get back,
You want the if you need the two legs of the height of the right triangle,
right?
take the
No,
hypotenuse.
you can just draw a straight line and go between them that way. Oh no, no, no. We're going the
You
full right triangle.
you took the
No
five and
hypotenuse for us, Mike.
no you, t- no you took the 5 and the 12 to make the 13.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Um,
where is your official outrage level now with the Royals? Are you burn it all down or just like just give it another week, it'll be fine?
I'm not, I guess I'm not
Somewhere
outraged.
between those two.
I'm more bemused, I would guess. I'm not
Yeah.
angry. I'm just sort of frustrated and
Yeah.
um but also just kind of a little confused as well how bad they've been.
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of problems they've had, because the offense is not very good.
Yeah.
And if the pitching isn't great, then there's no chance. And the pitching hasn't has over the last week has fallen off, so the Royals
Yeah.
chance to do anything to make up so that the offense can't pick them up on a bad day, really. Or if they do, or if the offense does pick up, the pitching, the bullpen will blow it somehow.
Yeah.
The bullpen hasn't been very good so far. They've blown a lot of games, so it's just been a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
because Urseg blew another save just recently, yesterday, last night for us.
yeah,
Now in
and
game
none
one
of
against Baltimore.
yeah, Witt hasn't really come alive at this point. He's been okay average wise, but
Yeah.
not no power really.
He's
Pasquantino
not
has
he's
done virtually
he hasn't hit a
nothing.
home run. Finney's hit I think one or two home runs, but yeah, he's still only hitting 140s on the season.
Yeah, Sally's doing about that bad on the in his average
Yeah.
as well.
He
Um,
did have three hits yesterday, but yeah. Did you appreciate the contradiction of Sal to Matt Quatrero in the media a few days ago, where Quatrero maybe used some poor word choice and said that Sal needed a mental breather. Then Sal says, "I don't need a mental breather," directly in a Twitter post, which I find
yeah,
funny.
I don't know. It's just something needs to happen, and it just needs to be the Royals need to score runs. And
Yeah.
now of course the Royals had an opportunity in the last inning to score multiple runs when they had runner on third base, nobody out, first and third, nobody out, but then they only score one run in the whole inning. And now the Orioles, of course, are threatening in their top of the inning because they had a leadoff double or something, or I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Leadoff
So,
double.
so they're losing, they're possibly losing their advantage that they have. So even when they take advantage, they don't keep the advantage very easily. So I don't. It's just been a.
Yes.
It's they can't score runs in bunches. They aren't hitting home runs. They aren't they aren't like you said they aren't fielding particularly well. There were several miscues against the Yankees where the wrong people called each other off or they crashed into each other a couple times.
Right.
Uh,
Well,
it was
the younger player is like deferring to the older player, even if they're in the wrong spot, right? Because we know because we've watched enough professional baseball that we know like the center fielder can call off everybody, right?
Mhm.
The outfielders are supposed to call off the infielders, and they should get out of the way, right? But
Yeah,
things like that have just aren't they've like lost some like basic defensive order of things
yeah.
this
Communication
last week.
has been off. Yeah, the bullpen hasn't been good. Starting
Yeah,
pitching is only mediocre. Reagan's has not had a great start to his season. He's struggled quite a bit. But the other starters are doing okay, but
Matt Strom just gave up a two-run homer.
no, it's just what we were talking about. So Royals down 5-4 now. So they'll probably
Yeah,
lose.
yeah, likely to lose.
They just
This
went for a
this was in real time. This is the I was like, well, Matt Strom was a left-handed pitcher, very good left-handed reliever. you kind of expect him to come into a situation where he's going to be facing lefty batters. Earlier, a few games ago, he came in a late inning scenario to face all right-handers and was great. So today, apparently, they decided he did it last time, so he's probably fine this time too.
Yeah, he's got
And
reverse splits sometimes, but yeah, the
yeah,
Royals went from a 67% chance of winning to a 25% chance of
so
winning.
I mean, reverse splits with handedness and hitters is like there's rarely enough data to actually have it be meaningful
Yeah.
because like you're not really facing enough of that same-handed or opposite-handed, usually the opposite-handed. If you're a
Yeah.
reliever, like you're almost always facing your same-handedness.
Yeah.
So like there usually isn't enough data to warrant a reverse split being actually legitimized. It's a, you know, not enough data to be meaningful scenario.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's like it's almost like the individual batting data for hitter versus a pitcher. Sometimes that's good, but sometimes you just don't know because it's been such a
yeah,
small sample size.
sample
But yeah,
size, yeah.
the Royals were at the end of the inning 77.8% chance of winning. Now they are 25.8% chance of winning. So that one home run basically
Well,
was 50% swing uh, from the Royals to the
yeah.
or
And
so
that's just based off of like run expectancy. I don't think that's even based off of like actual like performance by this team. So I would think that their percentage is actually much lower winning than just
maybe.
basic baseball odds.
Hmm. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. Well, at one point, the Orioles were a 70. The Orioles have had higher percentage possibilities of winning
In
uh,
this game.
this game than they are right now, just barely. When they were up 3-1 in the fifth inning, they were a 78.4% chance of winning. Now they're only 74.2. So,
Well, now there's another double.
no, okay, we'll see what happens with the uh,
Not
no,
not looking good, Mike.
still only one
That's
out. Yeah,
but it's exactly what's been happening like repeatedly. Like you just said, they're not scoring enough runs. So you're asking your bullpen to hold a razor thin margin, which is frequently too much to ask. That's not uh that's not how you win a lot of baseball games. You can win some that way, but if you're expecting to be like a playoff team, like you need to score more runs than your opponent, not just one more run than your opponent and
yeah,
hope that
they're
you can
just
hold it.
yeah. It's well, I don't want. Yeah, this game's getting out of hand, I think.
Yeah,
But we'll see what happens with it. Do you want to talk more Royals or should we move on because the Royals are not conducive
worth
to uh
spending any more time on. Yeah, I think we should move on.
yeah, we move on to some good teams playing in the playoffs of the National Hockey League and the National Basketball Association. Um, we just started the playoffs, so none of the series are over yet. No real upsets at this point either in either league. Um, have you been watching any of the playoffs of so far?
I've sort of just been checking in on them. I haven't really like watched games. I know
I
you mentioned there
watched.
was something pretty significant that happened today in the San Antonio Spurs
Yeah,
game.
I watched the some of the play-in games.
Hmm.
Uh, those were interesting. But yeah, the Spurs, probably the biggest story is Wembanyama was fell in game two against the Trailblazers and hit his head on the court, and now is in the concussion protocol. Uh, that could change, especially because the Spurs are the number two seed, I believe, in the West,
Yeah, I think that's it.
and so that could be a um, yeah, Spurs are number two, the
Yeah,
Trailblazers are number.
they are still holding a lead in this game without Wembanyama.
Yeah, they're up by 8 in the fourth quarter, so still
One and a half
likely
to go.
chance of winning, but still, it's not a place we want to be.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, any other observations from the NBA playoffs that you've noticed? Um,
It's been pretty chalky so far. A couple teams have lost a home game, but they're not like the one seeds though, so nothing too crazy yet. But the first round is usually not the too crazy in general.
yeah, you'll have some 4 and 5 and 6 and 3 sometimes will surprise
Yeah.
you. You never know. But yeah, but they have seven, especially since I don't know when it was, maybe 20 years ago now that they moved to 7 games for every series. When
Mm,
it was only a 5 game series in the first round. There were a few more upsets here and there. Um,
yeah.
yeah, now you need to win 4 out of 7. It's a
Yeah.
tougher road though. Um, yeah, the NHL though, um, its playoff bracket is similar. Uh, we have again the teams that are you thought would win have won the first game. The second games have been games a little different. Yeah, I think the biggest upset right now, I guess if it's an upset, is the Penguins Flyers series. The Flyers are the 3 seed and the Penguins are the 2, but the Flyers are up 2-0 already.
Mm.
Uh, so
That would
um,
be two road wins then.
yes, I believe so. I think the Penguins had the home games
Yeah.
and they play. Yeah.
You can in the active games right now, it looks like Buffalo's down as a one
Although
seed down four
I think the
nothing in today's game.
Flyers, even though the Flyers were seated lower, I think the Flyers are had more points or close
Mm.
to, I'm not sure. They were in different divisions, I think. The Penguins, well, they were tied. Each had 98 points. They were tied with 98 points.
Mm.
So the Flyers had more wins. The Penguins had more overtime losses, which
Uh, well, yeah, looks like, yeah, the Penguins were the home team
Mhm.
and did drop both of those games. So yeah,
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with the NHL. The Canadian teams are uh
Mon-
still
Montreal's up 1-0,
Montreal's up 1-0.
but
Uh
and they're heading to overtime in game two.
the Oilers are up 1-0 as well.
Yes. And
The
where the
who's
Leafs?
the Leafs are
No, they're not in it.
they're not in it.
Wait,
There's one.
I thought there were three teams.
I thought there were 3 as well. The Canadians, Senators, Ottawa
There
is
they
down.
are. Yeah,
Ottawa's down
they
two
are.
zero.
They're down too, but they're not expected to win. They're the lowest
No,
seed in that bracket.
Ottawa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Or do you find yourself rooting for not because they're a warm weather team, but the Vegas Golden Knights because they changed coaches with not very much to go left in the regular season. Does that interest you when teams do late coaching changes heading into the playoffs?
I no, not especially. I don't know. I think it's a weird. It's always weird when teams fire their coach early or late in the season, and then they do make the playoffs when they're somewhat successful, but they think they should be more successful, I guess.
Yeah,
I think sometimes you can maybe ride a hot hand into the playoffs if you give a new coach that's maybe lit a spark.
right.
But I'm not. Well, I want the Golden Knights to win because uh I don't like the Mammoth. I don't like
Uh,
if they were the Mammoths, maybe. I don't like single entity
or
nicknames.
maybe it's an adjective.
Mammoth, big, yeah, the big. They need to have a plural.
It needs to just it either needs to be plural, as in like the woolly mammoth, or it needs
Mhm.
to be have a noun following it, so it's a mammoth something, right?
Yeah, like the Golden Knights. It's not the Las Vegas Golden that's going to be
Yeah.
playing, but Avalanche. So that kind of makes the me dislike the Avalanche a bit. The Kraken.
Yes.
Um,
Well, you don't think of there being multiple Krakens, though, right?
no, but I think there should
You don't
be.
give that one a pass just because of
I don't give it a
the
pass.
reference.
It's not like the no. I don't. No, it needs to need. Yeah, they need to have multiple things because because there are multiple people on the team, so they need to have multiple.
Yes.
Uh, if it was an individual player, he could be known as the Kraken. I think that would be fine.
Yeah.
Uh, or if it were, yeah,
Maybe they're
that would
just
be
representatives of the Kraken. They just do the Kraken's bidding.
yeah, the Kraken minions of some sort. I don't
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
but then they'd be the minions.
Minions
Uh,
of the Kraken.
then that's also a little too Despicable Me, I think.
Ah,
Uh, but I don't. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care for the united
mm,
one thing. It seems like a lot of the women's teams now, even more than the men's teams, are a single entity, like
mm,
New York Liberty or the uh,
Storm.
Kansas City Current, things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I don't care for that. It's
I always
too.
did think the current is kind of an odd name anyway, because like what's your which version of current do you mean? Just like now, or
I
like the
think I think that I think they're trying to
flow
be
of
the river.
like an
I think they're trying to
yeah
be
the
both.
flow of the river? Is that what they're aiming for?
I think they're
The team
trying to
plays
be
right on the river. I mean, they're like right next to the river.
yeah, in the zeitgeist
Yeah.
current. Uh, but yeah, yeah, that's just one of my things. I don't like newfangled team nicknames that are just like even the Jazz. I'm gonna root. I don't like that. At least Jazz sounds like it has an S on the end of it.
Yeah.
Um,
What are the Miami Heat though? They're
no, don't care for the Heat. No,
yeah.
Calgary Flames, fine. Heat, not as good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Magic, not as good. No,
It
it's
does make it weird when you're talking about the
the Magic is versus the Magic are.
well, like a player for that team.
He's a
Like
Magic. Yeah,
yes, he is a Magic.
he's
Michael Massey just hit a home run and tied the game. So
Well, we
Royals
have
are
the
now
problem.
5-5.
This is the reverse problem for the Red Sox and the White Sox because I think they say
Yes.
a White Sox rather than a White Sock. Where I would say he
Yeah.
was a White Sock because I think
Yeah.
the X plural the X is only a gimmick, and
Yes.
I wouldn't count that as an official thing to you'd have to rule on to make something plural or not plural for the White Sox. I think it's White Sox SOCK and then
Yes.
White Sox SOX for the plural.
Have you always
Uh,
found it weird that both of those teams use the same gimmick, SOX?
I think they used it because it was popular probably in the early 20th century to uh, spell
Yeah.
stuff like and, the X is a cooler letter than CKS, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
But they were just trying to separate themselves from Cincinnati, though, I guess, too, because they were the red. It was
the
also
red,
sock related name, right? With the
were the
red legs.
red stockings, yeah.
Uh,
Then they were the red legs for a while. That was because
red legs, yeah.
they wanted to separate themselves from the communists because the communists are the Reds, and you don't want the Cincinnati Reds as being Reds communists. There's the red legs, but you also couldn't call them Red Sox because or Red Stockings because of the
Right.
other Red Sox, so they had to go to the red legs, um, even though their legs were mostly white or gray based on their uniform
Their
color.
uniform attire.
The red
Yes.
lower legs were.
They
Uh,
wore exceptionally high socks at the time, Mike.
Yeah. Thigh high socks. Waiters.
Hip waders. Yes, that was the gimmick in its time.
Well, the White Sox had those weird shorts for a while that they wore in the back in the late 70s.
Hmm.
Um,
There have been some oddities of yeah uniforms in the past.
yeah, and the White Sox for a while they were like blue and gray. That was their color scheme, and
Yeah,
red when they were like in the 80s. They weren't just just white. You can have I guess you need just the color white, but now they're predominantly white with black and some gray, I guess.
yeah,
But they went back to the kind of old retro uh Black Sox era White Sox uniforms.
yeah. Now with like the City Connect uniforms, they go kind of like their alternate design is like very sometimes wildly different from what you've ever seen historically from the former franchise. Like Boston like wears like yellow and light
Yeah.
blue. And it's like that doesn't make any sense. They're the
No.
Red Sox, but it's different, so it means they have something wildly different that you can buy, I guess,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You like the Royal City Connect uniforms?
I'm not a fan.
I don't mind them. I think they're
I
okay.
I just don't like I don't like the faded top part of it because like especially on the helmets, like when they had the purple on the top, it looked like it was just like sun like photo bleached. So like, it
Oh, is that
looked
what
like
it
they
is?
just like left them out. It looked terrible because of that. The
It's
color
purple?
schemes, I don't, it's fine, whatever. But yeah, the way that they'd had like the top of it. Did you see the helmets?
I never noticed that because I'm kind of colorblind, so I don't
Uh,
notice.
well, so they're like they start out sort of blue and they like turn like purple as you get higher. And but like
Oh,
the top of the hat, like the helmets and the hats were like purple,
oh, that's why people don't like them.
but it was just on the very top, so it looked like they like left all of the helmets out in the sun and it like photo bleached the top
Hmm.
of all of everything. Is what it looks like. So it just looks like they were like partially ruined instead of that was done on purpose.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't notice that. Yeah, that's probably because my
It was odd.
color blindness um is a fly that I'm trying to get
Not as
pick
good as
out.
that time where there was that like wasp or something that flew by. I did.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a few years back. Yeah. Um, well, so we're talking about we were talking about uniforms and nicknames.
Got a bit off. Full
Got a
tangent
bit
here.
off topic. But we have playoffs still going on, uh, and the Royals now tied the game. You say, uh, go,
Yes.
uh, going into the ninth inning,
Yes. By five. Heading to the ninth.
5-5 headed to the ninth. Now they'll probably lose in extra innings with the bequeathed runners.
Like they did yesterday.
Yeah,
Why did you say that? You probably just jinxed us, right?
yeah, probably. But so we'll see what happens with that. But the biggest story, I guess, later this week is the NFL draft starting in Pittsburgh on Thursday. The Chiefs have two picks in the first round, number 9, number 29, also number 40 overall. So three of the top 40 picks are Chiefs. Do you think the Chiefs is it especially important for the Chiefs to get this draft correct so they can challenge again for a Super Bowl berth, or is this or the Chiefs maybe a year or two from contending for Super Bowls? What do you think, Dr. Scaff?
Well, I think they have to get it right, and I think they have to get players that can perform immediately. I think that's what they intend to do if they're gonna, run it back with Mahomes and Kelsey one more time. I think the expectation is that they're going to make a deep run, even if Mahomes isn't ready to go in week one. I think that's why they picked up a legitimate QB to back up Mahomes in case he isn't ready in week one. and Justin Fields. So I
Mhm.
think the intention is to be very competitive. So my expectation is that they will either, yeah, draft a lot of players that will fill roles, maybe multiple, uh, layers of positions to make sure that everything's covered, or they may package some players, some draft picks together to get, you know, fewer but better selections. What's your guess as to how they're going to play this out?
I don't know. That's one of the things where I think it depends. I'm not sure if how the Chiefs see themselves versus how we see them. I think the Chiefs ended up having a not so great record last year, but they lost a lot of
Yeah,
close games, and Mahomes got hurt the last few games of the season. So
and they just gave up. Basically, they weren't expecting
yeah,
anything.
so they were they ended up being about the worst team in the league the last
Yeah.
few weeks of the season, and they lost to the Raiders, who ended up being the number one overall pick. So. Yeah, so it seems like there's a wide range of expectations. And you kind of wonder if Mahomes is back and healthy, I think the Chiefs are a Super Bowl contending team. But if they maybe take 3 or 4 games to get started, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I guess that's why you do bring in Justin Fields to
Yeah.
um, be a temporary fix. And I think also Fields could be sort of a gimmicky type player early
Mm,
on that again, even if Mahomes isn't 100%, the Chiefs could steal a couple of games here and there,
yeah.
and then maybe by the end of the season, Mahomes will be back to his old self. But
I
yeah,
mean,
I don't know
even
who
in
the
the
Chiefs
like
pick.
some of the scenarios, you can say like, well, maybe you just want Fields to start, and if they are doing okay, then Mahomes. The further into the season it is before you have to bring Mahomes in, and the less that he has to handle burden wise to get into the year, like they could be in fine shape if that happens. The scenario you really don't want is that he comes back too early and then gets hurt again, and
Yeah, that's the thing you want to look out for. But it's also going to be hard to keep him off the field. I think
that's
he feels like he's ready to go.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I think in his mind, and maybe in some other people's minds, he has a kind of preternatural ability to heal himself more quickly than others. Like when he came back from this knee injury with the dislocated kneecap, he was back within a week or two.
mm,
He probably could have finished the game that he got his kneecap knocked out of. He could have just popped it
yeah,
back in. He also, I think, he said he was ready to keep going on his ACL if he was in the playoffs. Maybe he would have kept uh, going in that scenario. So it's Lindsey Vonn, I guess, kept her going with her ACL. It didn't turn out so great in the Olympics, but again, was that the problem because she was injured, or just it was just a freak occurrence? But
right. You have to assume there's some kind of linkage that one thing led to the other, right?
yeah, I think probably. Um,
It doesn't have to be like the injury happened again. It was probably more like in compensating for this injury, there was a slight error that happened and caused the fall, right?
yeah,
But yeah.
yes. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure if the Royal. I mean, if the Chiefs are going to trade. If they trade, are they going to trade up? Or are they going to trade back? There's a lot of scenarios. You might just stand pat as well. Yeah, I have no idea. There's a few different positions of need, but also some positions of maybe strength that they already have that maybe they still want to strengthen. Like so, you think, it seems like maybe before we knew what was going to happen with Rasheed Rice this year, maybe they were going to pick. You thought maybe they were going to pick a wide receiver, but still maybe they are going to pick a wide receiver because the wide receiver room wasn't so great last year, especially with um, Xavier Worthy being hurt at the beginning of the season. He never quite came back to his former self, and maybe they want to say, well, we just need extra players at positions to help Mahomes, help the offense. We brought in Jeremiah. We brought in Kenneth Walker
Okay, yeah.
So they probably aren't going to draft somebody like Jeremiah Love in the first round, but who knows? Maybe they want an extra running back to really shore up the running game. It's hard to say. I
Yeah.
don't think running back, but I wouldn't be that surprised if they did. Um,
I think from like looking at the mock drafts and what the expectations are, like, what the needs are of the teams at the top, it looks like Jeremiah Love is likely to go to Tennessee if there are no trades. And it sounded as though the Chiefs had talked to Arizona, I think, as a three selection, which would you would expect that if Arizona trades back, whoever trades into that place is probably looking for Jeremiah Love. That would be the guess.
yeah, or they're looking for one of the top edge rushers, I think.
Yeah. But if they're, I mean, but if everybody thinks that Tennessee's going to take the running back,
Yeah, it could be.
then you don't need to move to three to get him. You could just move to five, which would cost less, draft capital to get
Yeah, I don't know if
five
Tennessee's
than
going to take
three.
running back there. My guess is Tennessee's going to take who did I pick so far? I did Tennessee. Uh, uh, I thought Tennessee was going to take one of the edge players
Yeah.
because and the
Yeah.
running. I thought I picked the Giants to take to replace Saquon. I know they have what's his name, Scadaboo, but Scadaboo's coming off a big injury.
That's
Uh,
true.
he's sort of an idiot, and I thought maybe the Giants might try to take Love, especially because they have um, because of what happened with um, Saquon Barkley, and because
Hmm.
they have a young quarterback, they might try to do something like that. They have two picks in the first top 10, so maybe they'll take a running back and a tackle or something like that. That's what I guessed.
Yeah.
But it could be anything. I could see them doing what I'm just guessing completely. So this is one of those
Yeah.
things. If, the only thing that's certain, basically, is at least if the Raiders do not trade out of the first pick, they're going to pick Fernando Mendoza,
Right.
uh, and then everything else is kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah. So yeah, we will be doing our own mock drafts. I think we've started ours. We'll finalize them here in the next day or so. We'll
Hmm.
compare ourselves to Mel Kiper and some of the other uh, mock draft wizards that are out there.
Yes.
We've done just as well as some of the experts have in the past, which is not necessarily very good, but rarely does anyone get like more than a handful of picks out of the whole first round direct.
Yeah, yeah, it's very rare because and then well we're reliant upon the experts in their rankings too, so we just are
Right.
running coattails basically, and so whatever we guess is based on all their work. And it's one of those
Yes.
things where we talked about this before. Is this some do teams really need scouting at the level that they do? Can they just rely upon the work of others and have good development players, but maybe they
Yeah.
don't need to spend that much time scouting. Um,
Yeah.
other players. Although that would have hurt the Chiefs back in 2017 when they went up to get Mahomes. That was done basically purely through scouting and not based on what other teams were thinking
True.
at the time. So um,
Although if you were a fan of the Big 12 and had watched Big 12 games, like scouting could be done from a casual fan perspective by saying like, "Oh yeah, that guy's pretty good." Like, you
he
know.
threw for 800 yards a game. It seemed like, yeah,
So, I mean, you didn't need to have like boots on the ground scouting reports like, you probably would have to do in baseball with like some of these international leagues. Like they're not going to be televising all of those like Venezuelan games in the Kansas City area to know which 15-year-old player you're going to try to like pick up in the international draft, right?
yeah, yeah. So
There you probably need somebody on the ground.
yeah, or at least magazine subscription to the
Yeah.
Baseball America, that does international scouting.
Yeah, but the international draft is a little different than the like the June, well now July amateur draft for which doesn't have international players in it.
Yeah, it just has America. I think U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico, I think, are the
Yeah.
uh, draft for the for baseball. But
So for
um,
that draft, I think yes, a copy of like Baseball America would be probably just fine. And you could still probably find clips of any individual player if you wanted to see what they look like.
mhm.
You know, you should be able to find that on YouTube probably, right? Like they
Well,
televise college baseball games.
yeah. Well, we saw when we were a couple years ago, we saw Caglianone fall to the Royals. We thought that was the obvious pick just because of what we knew from the sort of consensus uh, scouts. That would have been the pick to take, and that was the
Yeah.
one we did. So
Well, it's a lot
um,
easier to pick like the first round players.
yeah,
Like you say, like, oh, this guy looks like a first rounder. Well, I don't know. I mean, but the Baseball America says they are, so that I can agree with that. But if you want to pick like a 20th round pick, that's going to get pretty tough too, isn't it?
yeah. Looks like the Royals are threatening in the bottom of the ninth right now. Two on, nobody out. Bobby Witt Jr. up at the plate.
He
So,
just walked. He was the second guy.
oh, he just walked. Okay, so he's
He became the guy on first. So,
okay.
so now it's first and second. Nobody out
First, second,
for
nobody. Yeah, Witt
Vinny.
walked. Proceed a second. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now the Royals are an 81.7% probability of winning, according to ESPN.
yeah, because a single ends it.
Yeah, with uh
Decent speed at second base with Michael
yeah.
Garcia. Yeah, yeah. So I tried to find some like betting odds for the draft, but I haven't seen too much, Mike. Maybe we'll have to make something up here. What's your guess? We'll say the over under for trades in the first round is 4.5.
4.5. I was gonna say 4.5.
Would
That
you
was
take,
my
would
over
you take the
under.
over or the under in this case?
I would lean towards 5, so I would lean over.
Yeah. It seems like there have been quite a few trades in
Although
the
there have been
first
a lot of
round.
trades before now, so like maybe the
True.
trades are gonna
Four and a
because
half on draft day, let's say, for us.
because the like the Bengals just made a big trade for Dexter Lawrence with the
Hmm.
Giants and now the
Which gave them a
Giants,
second top 10 pick.
yeah. um so maybe the trades are going to be maybe they were going to be done pre-draft rather than during the draft, but I still think 4.5 is a good one. I still think maybe a little bit over, so I would say 5. I don't think if it was 5.5, I might go on. Yeah, I like 5
Yeah.
as that's my number, I think.
I'm glad I didn't say five even, then you were just pushed, and then that's no fun. You gotta take a side.
It'll be
Push.
exactly
You
five and a
can't
half.
push. You gotta take me over the under. It's not over under. Push.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. That's why I need to pick the half.
So we set it at the half just to make it so you have to make a decision, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think at 4.5, I think I'd probably take the over on that one as well. It just seems like there end up being a lot of draft day trades. Now, if it's actually worth it to do that, I don't know. Especially if you're just moving up a little bit, right?
Yeah,
If you're moving up from like 22 to 21, like was it really worth it to do that?
yeah. Sometimes no, sometimes. Well, the Chiefs have done that before.
No.
They moved 32 to 31, I believe, a couple years ago to get Worthy. Um, I thought so. Pasquantino struck out, but it was a productive strikeout.
Yes. It ended up on a ball in the dirt, which got
Yeah,
away from the catcher and allowed the runners to move up. But had he not swung and missed, it would have been him walking instead of being out. So there would have been runners at second and third regardless, but he would also be on first.
Yeah, bases loaded, no out. So yeah, rather than well, second and third and one out isn't too bad. So you think Salvi would just be able to put the ball? He's up about now. Just hit the ball high enough in the air, far enough in the air, I
Far
guess.
enough, yeah. With decent
That
speed at third. It's not the one of their slowest players at third. It is Michael Garcia who has good speed. So it doesn't have to be super deep even.
yeah,
Casual depth outfield is enough, theoretically, barring some Royals bizarre snatching victory or snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
yeah. That's very likely. Ooh, he swung at a looks like a bad pitch.
Very low and away pitch that he would not be able to put into the air on the first pitch, Mike.
I'm watching the game cast.
Uh,
Uh, so it was way yeah. It's not even in the square that's on out or the outside the strike zone square, whatever it is. Yeah.
yeah, it was
Um,
it was it was fully in the left-hander's batter's box. In reality, Mike.
and now he's 0-2.
And he,
Looks like
he wanted to swing at the third pitch that bounced on the grass before the dirt, before the plate,
the
Mike. It looked like he still gave it the whole the twitch, right? Even though it hit the grass, it bounced in the grass, which is 5 feet or so before the dirt, before the plate. So not looking like a great at bat here, but he
yeah, I'm
survived by fouling off the next pitch.
okay.
How about maybe the other thing is for the draft, maybe guessing about, we tend to talk more about the quarterbacks being drafted over under 1.5 QBs in round one.
Yeah, that's the question because one is guaranteed, and that's Mendoza. But other than that, it's possibly Ty Simpson. The Royals hit the win.
Yeah, another pitch in the dirt got away from the catcher just enough that Michael Garcia managed to score from third on a wild pitch.
A wild pitch. Didn't even have to worry about Salvi getting a hit.
Uh,
Okay, Royals win 6-5 on a walk-off wild pitch.
so the 8-game losing streak is now dead.
Congratulations, Royals. And now they've also gone ahead of the Mets too because the Mets lost.
Yeah.
So now the Royals are 8-16.
Yes. Apologies for interrupting. You were saying about the number of quarterbacks expected in round one. Fernando Mendoza,
Possibly. And
near guarantee being number one to the Raiders.
yeah, and then Ty Simpson is kind of the overall consensus number two quarterback pick from Alabama, and whether he's going to be picked in the first round or second round is kind of
Yeah.
up in the air. I think they're going to make a little run on the quarterbacks. I'm going to say over on 1.5 as well. I'm going to say there's
It
going to be two quarterbacks in the first round.
it seems like somebody will get like the itch to take the QB early, and somebody maybe it'll be
I'd
like
say,
last year where some kind of unknown or somebody that's expected to go lower, third round or so will get bumped up
hmm
surprisingly because that happens seemingly every year. Something gets out of order, from what the overall expectation is.
Yeah, it happens. So we'll see what. Yeah, what do you think? Do you think they're going to take another? Could you go over on 1.5?
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, somebody will trade it. It'll probably be like a trade or something. Somebody will bump up a little bit and take somebody like late in the round. I think one of the mock drafters that we have in our comparative study that we've kind of done uh, has I think Arizona moving up into the
hmm
late first round to take Ty
Yeah,
Simpson is
Mel
what.
Mel Kiper has that. Arizona moving up to number 30. Yeah, Mel Kiper has that. Arizona moving up to number 30. Yeah, Mel Mel Kiper has that. Arizona moving up to number 30. Yeah, Mel Kiper has that. Arizona moving up to number 30. Yeah, Mel Kiper has that. Arizona moving up to number 30.
Yeah.
Um, but I could see Cleveland maybe
Hmm.
at 24 taking Simpson because I don't think they think Shadur Sanders is the guy.
Yeah.
I could see
I guess the Jets are listed as being needing a QB,
quarterback. Yeah, the Jets maybe at 16.
and they pick 2 and 16. They're unlikely to get that pick at 2 unless somebody goes into the number one spot and takes someone other than Mendoza. I don't know why that would happen, but it could. You never
Yeah,
know. Could be a
yeah,
total surprise. If Mendoza falls to 2, then the Jets will probably take him.
probably. Yeah. But
Doesn't seem likely at this
they
point.
could take a quarterback at 16
Yeah,
if it's Simpson or somebody else. They might trade back from 16 if they thought they don't need him quite at 16. Somebody else might try to get the 16 and do that. Miami, I guess they're all in kind of on Malik Willis, it seems like, but maybe even you think they could pick a quarterback.
hmm.
They don't if they don't quite trust Willis.
Well, it
Yeah,
doesn't hurt
Arizona.
to pick somebody that you might, think that might be, a decent QB in at least 1 year, not necessarily expecting them to be the
Yeah,
starter on day one.
yeah, Arizona.
Miami.
Um, you can say Minnesota has Kyler Murray this year, but maybe they don't consider him to be a um, they already have I guess they already did JJ McCarthy, so
Yeah,
they aren't gonna pick another one.
you
Pittsburgh
wouldn't
maybe
think so.
Pittsburgh might pick a quarterback as a second. Maybe they'll have Aaron Rodgers in for one more year, but they might think next year they might need Simpson, so maybe um 21 at Pittsburgh could do it. Yeah. Um, so yeah, maybe I don't think 1.5. I think Simpson might sneak into the second into the first
Yeah,
round.
yeah, yeah. It looks like on PFF's player rankings, they have the third QB as Garrett Nussmeier from LSU at 93. So that would be a late third round pick.
Hmm.
Would be the is the next expected player. Drew Aller from Penn State, short just behind Nussmeier then. So those are maybe less likely to be first round guys, but maybe they bump up to the second round, but probably not. You wouldn't
Yeah, I think
expect
there's gonna be a
somebody to
lot of
move up that far to take that. Yeah,
there'll be a lot of mid-round quarterback picks, third, fourth round is probably
yeah.
most of. But I think maybe they'll pick two in the first, especially if people think that Simpson's their guy.
So PFF, let's see, there'd be 192 picks. Is that right? There's 6 rounds, 32 teams. Is that right?
Okay, for 7 rounds,
Oh, there's 7 rounds. That's right.
but there are supplemental picks as well in some of the rounds.
So two.
I'm not sure how many. I'm not sure how many picks in the draft there are. 260 or something like that.
Is it 260? 260. Okay. If it's 260, then they would say then PFF by player rankings at least anyway would say 12
257.
12 QBs would be ranked in the top. Is it 257?
257 it says typically according
Okay,
to
11 QBs would be selected. You think that seems like too many QBs being picked? About right.
I'd say about right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd say slightly more. I would say nine would be my number, but 257, and the Denver Broncos have to pick 257. They also have picked 256. The Broncos do. So they have the last two picks in the draft.
Mr. Irrelevant and Mr. Nearly Irrelevant, I guess. I don't know
Yeah,
something
so
like that.
they can just they'll determine which one was Mr. Irrelevant because they'll have two choices, and they can decide which one they think, I guess, is probably more of a personality fit to be Mr. Earl.
Yes. Well, then it's maybe they can do like a some kind of a like psychological experiment, right? To see if they can, show that there's a difference between those two picks. Like,
Yeah,
the sort of negative expectation for Mr. Irrelevant is kind of gone now at this point. So with a
with
couple of
Brock Purdy.
players that have had pretty good careers like right away even for Mr. Irrelevance, right? Because what did the Chiefs took a kicker, right? That was
Ryan Succop was pretty good.
yeah, and he was a Mr. Irrelevant, and then yeah, Brock Purdy more recently,
Yeah.
who's making very good money now in the league compared to what his expectation would have been.
Yes. Yeah, Brock
So
Purdy was 262, so there have been more than 260 picks somewhat recently. 262 was
yeah,
Brock
there's 257 in this draft.
257 in this draft, yes.
Yeah, yeah, because there are some extra picks awarded for like loss of qualified free
Free
agents.
agents and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and that number varies from season to season.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, that's probably anything else about the draft, or we're getting to
Uh,
the wrap up here. Now that we know that the Royals have broken their streak.
Rose broken the streak, then
Uh,
I think we can I think our work here is done since we stuck around long enough for that. So I think we can
maybe
answer.
one quick thing that I should have asked before though: offense or defense for the Chiefs? Think they'll be pick more offensive players or more defensive players in the draft?
Um,
Relatively balanced.
it'll be balanced, but I don't know which would be more. I think they'll go, and I think even early in the I think early they might go off. I don't know why. I think they might go a little offense.
Yeah,
Um, but my first pick is I think they're going to pick wide receiver. As my guess. Carnell Tate
yeah.
is my guess right now anyway. But I could be way off. I wouldn't be surprised. I probably am way off. I'm rarely correct on the Chiefs' first round draft pick, but
Well, they seem to do pretty well drafting, secondary players on the defensive side. So I wouldn't be shocked if they picked up at least a couple of players there because they've had a lot of exits in the
yeah,
last
they,
season.
they
So
but they I think they they can develop later round players into good secondary players.
right, but I just mean like if they're taking players in the draft, I would expect them to take several players in the secondary at some point in the draft, not necessarily a
Yeah,
high, but just somewhere in the draft. They'll probably
but
be drafting multiple secondary players that and then maybe they are like fifth, sixth round picks, but they've had a lot of success finding value at those
Mhm.
positions. So that if they haven't gone offense heavy early, then that will end up balancing out
Yeah.
their draft. So I'd be pretty surprised if they're like weighted super heavily towards one side. But yeah, I would yeah, offense early, defense late. That seems to be because they've had such success drafting defense later. Does that seem fair?
Yes. Fair. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think we're ready to wrap up this week's episode of the Warren Trek Power Hour. We'll have a lot of exciting post-draft discussion to talk about next week. We can talk about who the Chiefs picked, who these other teams have picked. We can see if we were correct on our own prognostications. See how right we may or may not be. Uh, Hopefully, the Royals will have used this next week to completely turn their team around. Maybe they'll have a six-game winning streak by the time we come back, and maybe they'll have the ship mostly righted. I think if the Royals can be 500 at least before the All-Star break, I think they can still challenge for a playoff spot, but it's going to be tough with being down and still 8 games under 500 right now. It's 8-16, so not so good. But who knows what the Royals will end up doing. I think they're better than this,
Mm.
but they may have dug a hole that's too big already. It's tough to say. But we will find out more next week. We'll be one more week closer to the end of the season, so we'll creeping ever so closer to 162 uh 162 games. So it'll be a little bit we're at 24 games right now. Um we're I think about 1/7 of the season. Is that right?
Yeah, almost exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
14.8%.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a hair over a seventh of the season, I guess.
hmm So we have, yeah, so hopefully there'll be 16-8 in each of the other sixths of the season, sevenths of the season.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. We'll also have more of the NFL, I mean the NHL and the NBA playoffs coming into view. Some of those series will be over by the time next week rolls around, most likely. So we'll
Hmm.
be able to kind of see where the playoffs are shaping up. We'll see if the Spurs can weather the Wembanyama concussion. Did they end up winning their game tonight?
They,
No, they lost to the Trailblazers.
they did drop the game late. Yeah. Because they had an 8 point lead with like 9 minutes to go.
hmm
So yeah, that's a difficult loss at home. So it's a real series now,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that the 7 game series adage? Series doesn't start until a home team loses
Yes.
or a road team wins, whichever direction you want to go with this.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like
Yes.
Portland took the lead with about a minute and a half to go, and then held on. And they made a run in the last 4 to 5 minutes to go from being down 7 to winning by 3.
hmm
So yeah, it's nice to have the defensive player of the year on the floor, not in concussion protocol for the last 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah, yeah. So that might be a yeah series to watch for sure. Um, Now the Houston Lakers game has just started.
I mean, you still expect if Wembanyama is able to come back that San Antonio is probably going to win that series, but with this being just a hiccup. But yeah, if he's
hmm
going to miss multiple games, then this is a very different series.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So hopefully, well, you want to see your best players always not hurt. So you don't want to see your best players hurt on any
Yeah,
side, especially as a casual or neutral fan, like I think we are in this.
yeah. You want the
You want,
best games possible, which means the best players are on the floor for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what happens with the NHL playoffs, and see if and as I said, we'll see where the Royals and the Chiefs are in a week. They'll each uh, team has a chance to improve themselves quite a bit over the next week. But they also may because we won't know how good the Chiefs are until uh, 3 or 4 months from now. But
As
at
soon as
least
we know what Mahomes' health is
yeah,
like, I don't think anybody's going to be confident in the season until we know what that looks like.
yeah, that might we might not know until the end of August or beginning of September
Yeah.
when that starts. So um, yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll see all that stuff and we'll report it here on the Morning Trek Power Hour. So, as always, I'm Dr. Michael Werman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the Morning Trek Power Hour. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and or our podcast available on many different podcast delivery platforms. including the one you're likely using right now if you're listening to us on a podcast. We appreciate your viewership or your listenership, whichever type of patronage it might be. And we thank you for joining us, as always, here on the Power Hour. We couldn't do it without you. You are the third member of the Power Hour team collectively, since we love this collective single nicknames here on the Power Hour.
Yes.
We are the
Change the
third.
warning track power hours.
It should be the power hours. Well, we only last an hour, so we aren't individual. I wouldn't call myself a power hour. It would be a yeah.
Powers
We
hour?
we are the power hour powers hours.
Something like
Uh,
that.
we're the yeah. We'll decide nicknames for us, I guess, as we go on. But and yeah.
Off the
So
rails again, though, Mike.
we are off the rails. Um, But we wish you the best of luck if you're making bets this weekend on the NFL draft or on the NBA and NHL playoffs. We or I guess you could make your bets on Major League Baseball as well, as long as your interests do not conflict with ours. We haven't really made any bets other than the fact that we think uh, it's more likely that a Oklahoma City wins the NBA championship than
The
uh,
field.
field, I think, is that, or we're taking the field.
Yeah.
We take the
Oklahoma City
field.
versus the field, and this is what we talked about
Mm,
last week, right? And
we're
then,
talking about Canadian teams not most
yes.
likely
Oh,
winning.
yeah, yeah. We said Oklahoma City versus the field was more likely than a Canadian team winning the NHL.
Yeah, there are
Yeah.
three. It's only 3 out of 16 versus 1 out of 16, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I think we're better with Oklahoma City as a chance.
Yeah.
But we'll find out. We'll find out next time. As always, we're happy to have you with us, and we will see you next week. And until then, we are the Warning Track Power Hour. We'll wish you a good day.